Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Thursday, November 17th, 2016. My name is Rich, and joining me to kick off College Ninja Warrior is Bijan. How you making out?
Doing good, man. I'm excited. It's what, a week away now?
Yeah, we are there. We are like almost there. Our next episode, we will be reviewing the show finally.
Ooh,
although
boy.
It did come up fast, actually. So I can't even really say finally.
Yeah, like it came up real fast, but I'm excited. Like, I really think this show's gonna surprise a lot of people, like a whole lot of people, even me.
Yeah, and we have our surprise. So we were teasing last couple weeks about our special guest, and if you looked at the title before you clicked on this, you'll see that it is Matt Iseman we got to go on the show with us, which is awesome.
Woot woot.
So we're gonna play that interview for you in 1 minute. And then we'll come back. We'll give you our picks for College Ninja Warrior, who we think is going to go the furthest. And we'll be reviewing the Pinnacle Parkour Academy National Ninja League. So here we go. Here is our interview with Matt Iseman. All right, so joining us today is the one and only Matt Iseman. Matt's the host of American Ninja Warrior, Team Ninja Warrior, and the all-new Team Ninja Warrior College Madness. Thank you for joining us, Matt.
My pleasure, guys. I'm excited to share with people the newest iteration in the Ninja Warrior world.
First things first, can we all agree to call it College Ninja Warrior, because that name is a mouthful?
Well, you know, it's I think they went with it just because it really was very similar to Team Ninja Warrior, which we kind of established last year. And the odd thing is we shot it a little out of order. So we shot Team Ninja Warrior for this season first. And the courses are very similar. The setup's almost the same. So it's going to look very similar. So College Ninja Warrior makes more sense, but I understand what they were doing with Team Ninja Warrior College Madness.
Yeah. Before we get into it.
Dare to tweet. You try to tweet it and it takes up half your characters.
Yeah.
C&W, I kind of slips off the tongue a little bit more.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, one thing about just the formatting that we just got into, I was just very curious. Are we going to expect a very similar format that we saw last year with Team Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, it's going to be virtually the same in that, you know, every episode will have, both with Team Ninja Warrior and with College Madness, where you'll have 4 teams of 3, and you'll have in the first round, there'll be matchups where each team member runs. The first 2 heats are with 1 point. And the third heat, the anchor run, is worth 2 points. And then the teams will switch to the next round. And the advantage, some people didn't understand, there definitely is an advantage to winning in the first round, because it makes your second round matchup easier, because if you win, you will go against the team that loses in the other round. So presumably an easier competitor. And it also gives you more rest time. So the team that loses in the second heat in the first round, it's getting a little complex here, they have to go right back onto the course. So in terms of rest, you definitely have an advantage. So it is important to win, but you know, part of it too, the reason we have each having 2 rounds, first round and knockout round, is we want the athletes to get more runs. And that was one of the things I think that makes Team Ninja Warrior a little different than American Ninja Warrior. And I will tell you, being on this set, I could feel the energy difference from American Ninja Warrior, because I think there's pressure there. You only get 1 shot, and if you have a stumble, Jeff Britton going out on the first obstacle in Vegas, it could end that quickly, and $1 million is on the line, and all the hard work goes out. With Team Ninja Warrior, no matter what happens, you can touch the water. It can be a little more imperfect, but you're going to get a minimum of 2 runs, sometimes up to 4 runs in an episode. And so I think for the athletes, I felt for them it seemed more fun, more carefree. They were really taking the top off. We were seeing how fast can they go. And so I think it's kind of like an exhibition where we got to see, I think, what the ninjas end up doing with each other anyway, which is how they really get better, I think, is challenging each other and pushing themselves to try things that they might not have done otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned that last year with Team Ninja Warrior, right? So some of the people that we are used to seeing go so slow and methodical, like, Brian Arnold just opened it
It's
up
amazing.
last season.
And that's what's fun, too. Ian Dory, the Wolfpack guys who are much more methodical, the rock climbers who obviously in rock climbing, you're not going to have a carefree approach. To see these athletes really display what they can do. I think, as a viewer, as someone who was watching, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Do you think there's like an opportunity to make that the spectator version of Ninja Warrior, like having an audience?
Here's what I would say with Team Ninja Warrior. I think one of the advantages we had in the show is, look, part of American Ninja Warrior that makes it great are the stories we tell. The fact that you get to know these athletes and know how much they've sacrificed, know what it means for them to be there, and to know that they've overcome their battling, Allison Lighthizer this year with early onset Parkinson's, or Stephen Mile with autism, or Lance Pincus having, another kid and having to work on a farm. These stories that make you appreciate and get to know them. On Team Ninja Warrior, because you know these athletes, we don't have to spend as much time telling the backstories. But I think that it'd be harder to introduce this sport without that, because it kind of gives you the shorthand. We don't have to spend as much time with the stories, but I think you do need to kind of have some reference point to make you care. And that's one of the things we found with College Madness was you don't know any of these athletes. They're all new. But you have the shorthand of, the schools. When it's Florida, Georgia, you're probably going to have an opinion. And I think it was a great way to introduce an entirely new crop of athletes, a young crop of athletes, and to kind of play on some of especially in the fall when football's on, when you feel these college rivalries. We have OSU and Michigan going head to head, UCLA and USC. Some Texas schools are squaring off, University of Houston and TCU. And I think for people who maybe don't know American Ninja Warrior or haven't checked it out, I think they can watch College Madness and kind of backdoor into enjoying the sport as a whole.
Yeah, and, as you said, it's a lot of new athletes and new faces. And Rich and I, over the past few weeks, have gone into previewing all these different teams. And one thing that we've kind of noticed and stuck on is a lot of these athletes come from various different backgrounds, a lot more diverse field than your traditional American Ninja Warriors. Was there anything that really surprised you or really stood out in terms of the athletes and their backgrounds during College Ninja Warrior? College Madness?
I think I think just people, when I started, I don't think people, cross-training wasn't as big. When I started on American Ninja Warrior back in season 2, cross-training, I don't think, it was just in its infancy. There really weren't obstacle races like Spartan. So I don't think people even knew what obstacles were. So coming into College Madness, even though a lot of these athletes didn't have obstacle training per se, and certainly not Ninja Warrior training, what they did have, I think, is people are doing more diverse workouts. They're coming in better prepared, I think, for what they're facing. And I think the caliber of athlete we saw, we had no idea. I will tell you this, Bijan. We didn't know when we went in if these athletes, what kind of show we were going to have. We didn't know if any of them would be able to get through the course. And we thought this could really be a train wreck of a show. And within the first round, we were just blown away. I mean, no spoilers, but a girl, he's 5'1". She's a former cheerleader turned powerlifter. She ends up completing the course, getting up the warped wall. And to think that just a few years ago, the warped wall was the glass ceiling for women, and now someone with virtually no obstacle training is able to walk out, talk to some of the ninjas, get a little technique, and get up the warped wall and complete this course. So I think we're seeing, as a whole, people in America, as they're modifying their workouts and embracing these new styles of workout rather than just sitting on a treadmill, we're seeing people, I think, who are better prepared for these amazing challenges we throw at them. But I loved it. In the first episode for Georgia, we have the captain of the cheerleading squad, this guy, Doug Legg, come out. And, we've seen some cheerleaders on our show before. And it was great to have a male cheerleader come out and show this guy's the real deal.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we noticed in our last preview there was a whole team pretty much of ROTC cadets.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
University of Michigan.
It was really, you know, the thing that didn't change was still the camaraderie of American Ninja Warrior, the sportsmanship, the support. And even though, you know, these are traditional rivals here, still watching them on the sidelines, I really think it was a fun event. They pushed each other, but at the end, lots of handshakes and hugs. It really is, it's a cool, I don't know, it's just a cool community that's arisen out of American Ninja Warrior and now Team Ninja Warrior. And I think it's just been, the thing, it's so welcoming to rookies, to new people who are new to the sport. And I think it's a really, it's a special thing. And it's part of why I really enjoy it, is seeing the veterans embrace the new people and seeing them all get better together.
Yeah, we've seen some indication that there was even some coaching that took place. Was there a lot of that, or just kind of a couple? It was
you know, like so MIT had a team, and one of their teammates, one of the guys on the team, Charlie Andrews, has known Josh Levin, who was one of the breakout stars this year came in the LA region, and you know they were climbers together. So Zach Tamayo for the University of Houston is a guy he's just 18 years old, but he's been training at Iron Sports with Sam San and Daniel Gill for years. So there were a few people in the competition who had obstacle experience, who had some interactions with some of the ninjas. And so I think when people knew that they were going to be on Team Ninja Warrior College Madness, a lot of them, and that's what's great too, is with the rise of the popularity of American Ninja Warrior, the rise of the gyms, the rise of the backyard courses, people were able to go out and try to get some training in. And some of the ninjas definitely offered some tips. So again, I think, you know, while we were worried coming in, these athletes did their homework and came in prepared.
Do you think we're going to see some of these athletes on the next season of American Ninja Warrior?
Definitely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It was, so I was just in Boston and, actually went out with Josh Levin and his roommate Evan, who works at SpaceX, and just talking to them and talking for how many of these athletes have been waiting for the chance just to turn 21 so they can apply to get on Ninja Warrior. But after seeing the success these athletes had on the course, I think we found some people who could really, do well on American Ninja Warrior. And I think for them, getting a taste of the competition, and you know, what a great way to get to do it, where you get the competitive spirit, you get to feel what it's like being out there and being on TV, but not having the pressure with American Ninja Warrior. I think it's really hard. I've had, you know, some friends who I've known for a long time who've ended up competing on American Ninja Warrior, and the thing they tell me is many of them have competed in other areas or been in front of crowds, but it's a unique circumstance when you're at the starting line, the cameras are there, thousands of people in the crowd, millions watching at home, and you get one shot. And the pressure is extraordinary. So I think, you know, for athletes who get to come out and compete on Team Ninja Warrior and Team Ninja Warrior College Madness, this is a boot camp. This will really be just more experience that I think gets them more comfortable when American Ninja Warrior rolls around for season 9.
I love that you use the term boot camp because we just finished reviewing season 2 of ANW.
It's funny, we were talking about that, and that was one of the things I love boot camp. And
me too.
It obviously, you know, when for that season 4, when we transitioned from 10 episodes to 26 hours, and because we had to build Mount Midoriyama here, the finances of the show changed. You couldn't do just 10 people, and it didn't exist. That was the year that they weren't going to have Sasuke. And so we had no choice but to expand it. And at that point, you lost the ability to do boot camp. You can't do it with 100 people. But what was amazing about it was the progress that the athletes made. When they got endless reps on, you know, the salmon ladder, the pipe slider, the Warped Wall, and you have guys like David Campbell and Levi Muhlenberg and some of the great athletes very early on sharing tips. And then having tips shared with them, we saw and that's why I believe the community, why we've seen these athletes get so much better. You get better together by pushing each other, by sharing. I remember we had the floating boards on boot camp for 4 days. No one could get through it. They tried repeatedly. No one could get through it. David Campbell finally figures it out using the pinch your legs on the bottom, how to use the grip on top. He figures it out, and within half an hour, shares the tips. Everyone gets through it. And to me, that sums up why boot camp was great. Now, with the rise of the gyms, people have a little more access to obstacles, so it's not quite as important. But the other thing I liked too was the camaraderie that for me, really getting to spend a lot of time with the athletes and getting to know them and talk to them. But, I'll always have a special place for the guys like Travis Rosen and McGrath and Flip, who went through boot camp. I feel like I got to know so well in those early days and then get to go to Japan with them too.
Yeah, just speaking on the gyms, local gyms, I visited and trained at 2 Ninja Warrior gyms, and I must say, it is absolutely astonishing. Just, first of all, the level of just amazing athletes at all these different regions. Not of all ages, by the way, also. There's a lot of older competitors at a lot of the local gyms and a lot of younger ones, up-and-coming stars. Rachel Brown, I always sing her praises. If you haven't seen her, Matt, definitely look her up. She's 14 years old, girl, just absolutely
dominant. The one who
dominant.
did the ultimate cliffhanger? I think I've seen a video of her getting through it a couple years ago even.
Yeah. So there's a lot of up and coming stars and everything, and it's really it says a lot about the future of this sport and just where it can go. And speaking on that, we've seen that you guys are kind of expanding, and at this point you guys have gone to the College Madness. Have you guys discussed, if this does well, perhaps doing any other types of spin-offs?
It's look, nothing that I know of is planned. I think, but of course, if it does well, they're always looking. I mean, to look at how this season Team Ninja Warrior almost doubled in the number of athletes that we're going to have on it, and then we added the College Madness as well. So it did so well last year. The response was great. That it is grown. This year on American Ninja Warrior, we did have to cut a city because of the Olympics. We had to go to 5 cities. It looks like that's going to be coming back. So we'll be having some more hours of programming, more athletes will be able to get their shot this season. So, yeah, we would love, we're always looking for new ways, I think, to bring American Ninja Warrior to the people and also to make the show feel fresh, that we know as this grows, other shows will come out and trying to figure out, all right, what makes American Ninja Warrior special? How do we give more of that? But how do we keep it feeling like, so it's every season it feels like a discovery, without losing, I think, what makes it so special. Kind of to me, one of the great things about American Ninja Warrior is most people don't know we've had now thousands of people on the course. Only 2 have ever achieved total victory. And when you say that, every single other person, their season ended falling. And to point that out, but then say, but that doesn't mean they failed. That on American Ninja Warrior, and I think it wasn't this past season, it was season 7 where it really was hammered home to me. And again, I think I mentioned him earlier, Stephen Mao, the 21-year-old autistic kid who competed in the KC qualifying, he got through one obstacle. His run lasted less than a minute. But when he came out of the water, the smile on his face, he was a champion. He'd gotten on the course and he'd done something, and he'd made new friends through the show, and the crowd gave him a standing ovation. And then that same night we had Michael Stanger and his run where he did complete the qualifying course, and you see like both those runs, but for him hitting the buzzer wasn't great. It was seeing the smile on his wife and it in his face. And I think that's one of the amazing things about the show is, Daniela Bright, who we saw last season, who the year before was bedridden with stage 3 breast cancer, receiving chemotherapy, didn't know if she'd live. A year later, she's on American Ninja Warrior, goes out on the first obstacle, but she's smiling, going, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm alive. And that's one of the things that I love about American Ninja Warrior is that we see people come out there and, not everyone's Isaac Caldero or Jeff Britton or Drew Dreschel or Flex Lebrecht. You're not all going to hit a buzzer, and yet you can still have a great run, a successful run, not completing the course. And I think that's really a unique element, unlike most any other competitive show on TV. So it's, I don't know, it's cool. So, as we figure out, we're always looking for new ways to tweak it. I think we have a lot of fun with, the USA versus the world format. And then last year we started with the All-Star and Skills competition. And the Skills competition was another thing that I loved because it was, we taped 5 nights in a row in Vegas. So you're completing the regular season. You're doing the USA versus the world competition. And then we do the All-Star. And then the last night was Skills. And to me, again, it's just like the exhibition. I feel like it's what's going on when you're at Iron Sports, when you're there and the athletes are just saying, hey, how high can you go on a warped wall? And I love elements like that where we get to see a little bit more fun. But at the same time, I love the American Ninja Warrior and the quest for total victory. It all stems from that.
Yeah, we both love it a lot, obviously. And this new format and, having the College Ninja Warrior, I think, is great. It sounds like the one concern that everybody had where the spirit of Ninja Warrior might be lost in the college rivalries doesn't sound like that happened. So that's really good to hear.
Well, I think what's great is those rivalries are long-standing, but the spirit of American Ninja Warrior, the athletes got it right away. And, it was cool because a lot of the ninjas were there. I think, the college athletes got to see really what it's all about. For them, I certainly felt like they all got the spirit of it and enjoyed it. And, for Akbar and me, it's just such a different beast when you're doing Team Ninja Warrior because American Ninja Warrior, you're talking about one person and inevitably there are going to be points where they're struggling with an obstacle or they're strategizing or they're just catching a breath we have a moment to catch our breaths. On Team Ninja Warrior, it never stops. When they're on the course, until somebody wins, it's never, the result is always subject to change. And what's amazing to me is we saw people get 2, sometimes 3 obstacles ahead, and then somehow the person will catch up, pass them on the warped wall. And the finishes we were having, we have a finish that came down to 1/100th of a second. We've never had anything that close before.
Wow.
And
wow.
It's just amazing how I like to say that when they compete, the athletes almost like they had a rubber band around each other where if one person gets too far ahead, it slings the other person up to them. And it really is, when I talk to the athletes too, it's a completely different dynamic for them being on the course when someone else is on the course with you. Because in USA versus the world, you might have a clock in the back of your head, but you can't physically see, okay, that person is 2 steps ahead of me now. I need to catch up. And actually having the person on the course, I just love the way it changes the dynamic and the strategy. It's a different beast. And, Team Ninja Warrior last year I thought was great. I think this year it's even better, and I'm really excited for people to see College Madness and to see kind of some of the future athletes that'll be coming into the sport.
So, Matt, do you want to let us know, I believe it's November 22nd, is it?
November 22nd, 8 p.m. It starts on Esquire, and, I'll always be live tweeting and going on, so I always love hearing what people think, what they think about the show and what they think about the athletes that are on it and the obstacles in the course. So I'm excited. I'm excited for people to see it. It's just 5 episodes, so it's going to be a pretty quick hitting show. But I think it'll be a good teaser. I'm thinking, 2017, we're going to have Team Ninja Warrior. I think it's going to start January or February. And then we'll start filming season 9 in March to start airing in June. But I'm not sure if they've announced it. I think they have, but I'll tell you guys, we're going to be doing a celebrity Ninja Warrior, a one-off special for Red Nose Day.
That is amazing.
It's going to be, we're trying to get 8 celebs, which it's harder than it sounds because A, we have to find celebs who are willing to do it, and then B, make sure their schedules are clear, because we're going to tape it. We'll be taping it when we tape Los Angeles qualifying and city finals at Universal. So finding the athletes or the celebs who are willing to do it, and then hopefully we'll get them some training time. So obviously guys like Stephen Amell, from Arrow, Zac Efron, these are names that we're reaching out to, but it's hopefully we can get them out there. But either way, we're going to find 8 to 10 celebs and put them on the course. So, that'll be fun. And I think a lot of people who've talked a big game on Twitter, they may find it a little different when they actually get on the course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Matt. I think that's...
No, hey, listen, I just want to say I appreciate the fans of the show and guys like, what you do with the podcast, and, you guys help build the community, and I think that's what makes the show special. So I appreciate it.
Much appreciated. And all of our fans, we always get a lot of feedback just saying how much they love you and Akbar's dynamic and everything. You really add a lot to the show. So,
nice. Well, we have
as representatives of the fans, we very much appreciate you guys as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. So is there anything else going on that you've got going on? Any stand-up specials? Anything?
Well,
that you'd like to promote?
I'm going to be, I'm doing Comedy Works, which is my hometown comedy club in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to be there November 30th through December 3rd. But then I guess the other news is I'm going to be on the new season of Celebrity Apprentice with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the boss. And that starts January 2nd. So 2017 should be very interesting.
Exciting for you, man. I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. And obviously, I understand it came about because of American Ninja Warrior and me being on NBC. So, another reason I'm very grateful for all that American Ninja Warrior has done.
Well, congratulations on the best competition show win, too, for the Reality TV Awards.
And what was cool was Jesse Graff, Casey, Brent, McCartney, Natalie Duran, they were all there to help celebrate. And, they celebrated. I don't know if you saw stuff from the red carpet, but Jessie insisted. She is amazing, but she insisted that she tackle Grant McCartney. And Grant was a good enough sport to let her do it. But it's like they're little kids. They just want to play. They want to run. They want to have fun. And that's, I think, when they get on the course, that's what you see is these athletes, they love doing this. This is what they'd be doing if American Ninja Warrior didn't exist. So it's always fun to be around them.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us, Matt. It was a pleasure having you once again, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, man.
And we're back. So that was awesome. We had an absolute great time talking to Matt. I knew we would, but it actually did meet my expectations.
Oh yeah, super fun. And it brings me back this one moment before we get into breaking down the interview. One of the funniest things ever is right after the interview, because we had some audio issues the last 2 interviews we've had. And I pulled the most meanest prank on Rich. It was amazing though. I wish I recorded it. Where I'm just like, I was recording and I'm just like, oh no, Rich, I lost the entire recording. And I can just hear on the other side, just feel like the dread from Rich from the other side of the continent, just like, oh my God. It was the best.
It was the worst prank anyone's ever pulled on me. I was so instantly angry and just over the top. Like, oh my God, if you had given it like 10 more seconds, you would have heard me screaming into the mic. I cannot believe you did that to me.
Oh, I milked it for all it's worth. It was good, like 30 seconds, guys. It was so good. Oh man, I wish I recorded that conversation. It was so good. I'm sorry, man. I feel so bad, but it's fine. I'm glad I did it still.
You know what's funny is I noticed afterwards my recording software actually did run, even though I was having trouble with it ahead of time. So I might have that, and if I do, you may hear it at the end of this episode. Maybe I'll put the censored version of that incident on for you, but we'll see if I can find it.
Oh man, it's good stuff. That's all I have to say, peeps. But anyways, yeah, the interview, like it was quite amazing, and I think the main the big thing to come out of this interview, even more than hearing about the format and just the excitement of the show. Obviously, Matt and everybody involved with the show is super excited, but what did you think about this whole Celebrity Ninja Warrior idea that they're, coming up with? I think that's really huge and can lead to some really fun television.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like coming out of left field with that one. We weren't even fishing for anything like that, and suddenly I was like, wait, Celebrity Ninja Warrior, that would be awesome. So we did find out.
Dude, that'd be dope.
They've been teasing it for a while, right? Stephen Amell's name's always thrown in there because I think he's been talking a lot about it over the past little while, right?
Stephen Amell does a lot of parkour and various other types of training. You know, he's been in WWE. He's very athletic in various aspects, and I think he would fit in quite well with this show. If for people that remember just a few months ago, they had Ninja Warrior courses over at the, what's that beach movie, Rich? I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. The one with The Rock and Zac Efron. How am I forgetting this? It's such a famous show and movie coming out.
Oh, wasn't it like
Baywatch.
Hawaii Five-0 or Baywatch?
Oh my God, I'm terrible. I am a terrible person. All right, so the Baywatch movie. You have to imagine Zac Efron's going to be very excited to be on the show. I pray we get The Rock on the show. Can you imagine The Rock trying to do any of these obstacles? It's kind of terrifying at the same time because he'd rip a muscle immediately, trying to like hang. But
I don't think that's going to happen. I wonder who the other potentials are. Like, I mean, obviously, I think Stephen Amell will be game. Zac Efron may or may not. I'm guessing he probably will. I'll go out on a limb and say that. But beyond that, I don't know. Yeah, you don't see a whole lot of other celebrities talking about it. I mean, who's big fans? I think Will Wheaton is. Maybe we could get him on there.
I think the big difference or the question mark is, if they do the show, will they be looking for high-profile celebrities or celebrities that have a huge interest in the sport? Because you can go two ways with this. If you get high-profile celebrities and make it just more of a fun thing, you can get whoever, honestly, that you want. You know, you can get somebody that's just athletic or just like, hey, I'll try this, you know. If you go for celebrities that are actually super athletic, you might get lesser known celebrities, but still people that do have fan bases and, you know, could do actually well. And I think that would make for a much better show because it wouldn't just be all jokes and, you know, haha.
Yeah, like, you know, as great as it would be, you know what? Actually, I still would like to see Captain Tornado run the course. Like, give it a go. That would be hilarious.
That'd be dope. They have to do it. Like,
yeah, probably not, but it would be funny.
Come on, Bobby Moynihan. You know he'd be down to do it.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure they could convince him to do it, but I think they're going to be going for something a little more serious. So we're looking at 8 to 10 celebrities. They're going to film it with the LA qualifiers, so that's good. We know where and when to be taping. Like, they're getting that serious. They have a plan in place. So,
yeah, well, I might be over there, so I might get the deets for you guys.
Yeah. So as far as the College Ninja Warrior, I don't know if we need to rehash much of it. It sounds very promising. It sounds like everything we've been talking about, where the athletes are impressive, much better than we may have initially thought. The rules haven't changed. The format's the same. And that they're keeping the spirit of the show, which is great and very reassuring, that they're not playing up the rivalries to the point of ruining the show. So
that's important.
Overall, I think it's all going to be good.
Yeah. The important thing is a lot of our fears were addressed in this interview, and it definitely sounds like it's going to be a very strategic show where, you know, they get different fresh faces, but it stays true to the format of Team Ninja Warrior, and they're not going just crazy with the storylines, which I'm super happy about because they could have easily gone that route. things that, really stood out to me is just the excitement that Matt had overall with a lot of these competitors. And, he was talking about a particular competitor, a female competitor that got up the warped wall and everything. That's really exciting because that was one of my main concerns also, is like, what if none of these competitors can get up the warped wall, let alone the women? It's hard because Team Ninja Warrior really stood out by the fact that the women really excelled on that show. And it sounds like this will be very much the same, which I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. I mean, everybody will have own takes from the interview, and I'm really excited to hear everybody's feedback. So please let us know on our Facebook, on our Twitter, everything like that. Really get engaged with it because I really want to hear everybody's opinions coming out of this interview.
All right, and related to that, we actually got a link from Nikki on ANW Nation listing off all the teams that are competing on each episode, which is great for us because that allows us to basically make a pick for each episode of who we know who's going to be coming up, and we can decide on who we think is going to win that given week. But as promised, we're actually going to give our top picks for the season as well. And we haven't shared them with each other yet. We're a little worried we picked the same team. So let's see how this kind of washes out. So overall, if you had to pick one team to win it all, who do you think is going to be, Bijan?
You want my top pick?
Yeah, top picks.
Right.
We'll list the other two, but I want to know who your top pick is.
Yeah. So just to explain how I went about this, looking back at Team Ninja Warrior, it was not the teams that had one particular standout. It was a team that overall was incredibly strong. That was well-rounded in all facets of the sport, both lower body, upper body, endurance, balance, everything they were key on. So I wasn't looking at somebody that just had all these accolades and was just super impressive, although my top pick kind of is that. It was more of every single member of this team is really stacked in talent. So my number one pick is the University of Houston. And the reason I went up for this particular team is just when we're talking about this College Ninja Warrior thing, I think the amount of experience that each team has is really going to play a huge part. And this team not only is very athletic and well-rounded, but they also have a lot of experience. And I think that's going to play a huge part. So we have, just to keep it short, Matt, Mathis is 6 years training for American Ninja Warrior, so obviously he's going to be very well-rounded in all the things, technically profound, everything like that. We have Haley Houston, NCAA pole vaulter, strong core, cheerleader, very good endurance and core, and trains Muay Thai, so very tough. She's going to hold her part, I think. And Zach Tomeo has been, one of the standouts in American Ninja Warrior gym and regional circuits. So we have three people that are very strong in the sport of American Ninja Warrior. These aren't people that are from the outside coming in and trying it the first time. They're going to be experienced. They're going to do well, in my opinion. What's your top pick, man?
So I 100% agree that they are probably on paper the ones to beat. They were in my top three, and I actually made the note that they're probably the favorite to win, but I didn't want to pick them. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mix it up a little bit because I had a feeling you might pick them too. So my top pick is actually the University of Connecticut. Did you have them in your top three? Just out of curiosity.
Is University of Connecticut UConn?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my second pick. Just for everybody to know, before we did this, I said there were two teams that, in my opinion, were clearly number one and number two at the top of the heat, and they can go either way. And UConn and University of Houston were those two teams. So whatever you're about to say, Rich, I wholeheartedly agree, and I wouldn't be shocked if they took the whole thing as well.
Yeah, they are 100% free running, parkour, pole vaulting, track and field, they just run the gauntlet of all of the best things to have for this sport if you're not a straight out ninja team. I feel like the other team, Houston's really the strongest pure ninja team. And this one just has all of those accolades that are tangentially related and just seem overall strong to win it. So
yeah, and in terms of athleticism, just in terms of athleticism, UConn is the team to beat. When it comes to experience, University of Houston is the team to beat. So both teams are very strong in their own facets, and either one could clearly win this whole competition just based on their gifts. The question is, when it counts, how well will each team adapt and adjust everything? I can wholeheartedly agree with everything you said, Rich. Just to like go off on you, or piggyback from you by the fact that I picked them as number 2. We this team is very well rounded in the fact that they have free running. They're everything we talk about in terms of the lower body focus of the show, where it plays a bit larger part than American Ninja Warrior. They have it in spades, guys. So if this team is able to adapt and learn these obstacles quickly and somewhat match University of Houston in terms of the technical aspect of these obstacles, they, in my opinion, can excel past Houston just based on their athleticism. University of Houston's very athletic, but these guys are very, very, very high level. So I couldn't agree more with you, man. Very, very strong team.
Cool. It's fun that we're on the same wavelength. I had a feeling we were. When you said there was a top 2, it had to be those 2. I couldn't see anybody else it could be.
Is University of Houston your number 2?
Oh, yeah. And okay. I only made them number 2 because I just didn't want to pick the absolute clear favorite.
Yeah. And I want to remind everybody, we did not give each other's teams up before this. This is just how it happened. So it's nice that we have that kind of mild switch up, but it's nice that we complement each other with our number 2s with that. So we might as well go to number 3 at this point, right?
Yeah. Is this going to match up too? I picked University of Michigan for my number 3.
Good. I did not. So, okay, at least we can have some differences with this one. Why don't you go into University of Michigan and why you like them so much?
So they stood out to me. The whole ROTC thing really stood out to me. It's a little bit different from what we normally see on the show, but I feel like it would give such a solid base for a competition like this that I couldn't discount it. I kept kind of circling back to them, and I just really want to see them do well, and I'm really curious to see how they'll do on the course.
Gotcha. They're my number 4 pick. I think they're going to win their episode, and I just don't know how they're going to do in the championships if they get there. But they're clearly my next strongest pick, and it was really a toss-up between them and my number 3 pick, which is Stanford University. I feel they're a very strong team. And just to go back with the University of Michigan, I think they're very, very strong. I think the big thing for them is their huge, huge question mark. We just don't know enough about them and their strengths and everything, but I will say this. I wouldn't be shocked if they do incredibly well and do go all the way just by the fact that they do have that camaraderie that none of these other teams are none of these teams are going to have the same level of trust and communication that the University of Michigan is going to have. So in terms of Stanford University and why they're my number 3 pick, I just feel like when we look back, we already have picks based on experience, a pick based on athleticism where they're slightly geared towards lower body. And Stanford University is a very upper body based team. I think all 3 of them are climbing. Yeah, they're all on climbing teams. Now, the thing that stands out to me, and maybe they would do better for American Ninja Warrior, but I still have a faith based on the fact that College Ninja Warrior is very much like Team Ninja Warrior, where there are some upper body based obstacles, and the thing that it makes the question mark is the balance obstacles and the endurance. And the key to this team is that they're speed climbers, which means they're going to have the endurance to go all the way. They're kind of like the Brian Arnold, where they're very, very strong and upper body, and everybody kind of glances over that thinking that that's all they have. But they do have the gifts to propel them further into the sport, just like free runners and everything. Where if they do have the endurance that I'm expecting them to have, and they have that upper body, they're going to have a big leg up when it comes to those upper body obstacles later on in the relays and competitions and everything. And don't sleep on the relays, guys. The relays are much more upper body focused than people care to remember. Yeah, I expect this team to do really well in the relays and go very far. I don't know how they'll do in the championships, but I think they're going to make it at least that far.
Awesome. So that'll be the big differentiator for us, I guess. But we'll see how it all washes out in the end. Next week we'll have our first episode, and I don't think it's any. This one's a pretty easy pick, I think, for us for the winner. We're both going to agree. I think the University of Houston's going to destroy in episode 1.
I think we're pretty much on point for every single episode, because the way these episodes stacked out, all of our picks are pretty much a winner for each episode. So that's actually going to be interesting. Everybody can kind of watch these episodes and see just how terribly wrong both Rich and I are in conjunction. Because it's definitely, our picks doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do well. I mean, Lord knows all of our picks can be knocked out in the first round, but well, at least we got a good dose of some Ninja Warrior action this week, right? So let's get on into the National Ninja League.
All right, yeah. So we're a few weeks behind, but we're gonna actually still do one at a time. So bear with us as we catch up. So this time we're gonna cover the Pinnacle Parkour Academy, which happened a couple weeks ago.
Halloween. That's why everybody's dressed up, guys.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Were you confused, Rich?
I was confused. I was confused on why one guy was dressed as Charizard, but now I know why.
Gotcha.
So in third place, we had Jane Greenbaum, who really struggled with probably one of the most unusual obstacles I've ever seen them use. They had to throw a hook up to a bar to swing across. What did you think of that?
It didn't look very difficult. It was just a rope with a hook, man. I'm like, it was kind of like she was whiffing it. She wasn't really throwing it all that hard. And I'm like, dude, just throw it harder. You'll get it. But I wasn't there. Who knows? Maybe the weight's different where maybe it's harder than it looks. But I don't know. It looked pretty rudimentary to me. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit, but at the same time, it's something they definitely wouldn't have practiced, right? It's just a totally different skill set from what you would normally be using, so it just kind of threw her off, I think. So she didn't go out there, but she wasted almost a minute there, from what Chris was saying. So she ended up timing out. The whole course was designed. Yeah, the whole course was designed for how fast can you go.
Yeah, so that was killer right there.
Yeah, to lose that much time on one obstacle, not good. In second place, we had Alyssa Beard, who's recovering from an ankle and shoulder injury. And she looked really solid in spite of the injuries, but she ended up timing out on some rope swings. There's some really long rope swings into some cannonballs, and unfortunately she did end up timing out there.
I'm glad she stopped, honestly, or timed out, because I've done those rope swings to cannonballs, and the cannonballs put an incredible amount of pressure on your shoulders. And if she just had a shoulder injury, I don't want to see somebody injure themselves worse. Especially in a local competition. And I don't mean to lessen the competition or anything, but, I just don't want her to hurt herself right now. And I was getting really worried seeing her on that rope and seeing the cannonballs coming up ahead, knowing that she had a shoulder injury. I was like, oh boy, this is not good. So I'm glad she stopped.
Yeah, I think she's already qualified for the finals anyway. I think she's been, she's placed in previous comps, and if she didn't, she qualifies now, so she can take it easy. There's no reason to push yourself. Just do what you can. If you're listening, Alyssa,
just know your limits, guys. When you have an injury, take care of yourself.
And first place, as always, Jessie Lebrec. It's her third event in a row that she's been in first. Yeah. Oh my God, she's so solid.
So is she like the new Jeff Britton of this year, where she's just going to every competition and just like winning everything? Is that what we're going to see?
She kind of did that. She kind of did that last year herself.
Yeah, I think about it. Yeah. She won like how many competitions last year? You got a good point there, Rich.
A lot of them.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. She's killing it again. Good on Jessie Lebrec. I mean, just remember, guys, her and Chrissy Pratt. They're my two picks to kind of lead the charge in the new generation of female competitors, and she is representing hard, man.
Yeah, it's funny that you can't even just go by the fact that she was in first place. It doesn't do justice to the difference watching her run. She beat those rope swings that others, all the women had struggled on. She started struggling on the pegboard. There's a few other obstacles in there. We're kind of brushing over a lot of it. The video's really cool. It's got lots of neat. This was a great course, by the way. I guess kind of a small tangent here. Like tons of cool obstacles. I don't know. It's just the innovation that Jamie Ron brings to the course is great because this was his gym.
Oh yeah, he's known for really innovative obstacles. I forget what it was, but last year, man, he had one of the most creative courses I've ever seen.
Oh, it was ridiculously hard last year. I remember his. Yeah, like Jeff Britton went further than anybody, but he was struggling because it was these crazy obstacles, especially near the end.
Mm-hmm. That was the one with like the weird cannonballs and everything, and oh boy,
yeah,
really cool. I'll just say for Jessie Lebrecq once again, the one thing that makes her stand out over the competition is how technical she is, but more importantly, how well she deals with pressure. Every time she's in a shaky situation, like she did with a pegboard, she just adapted very calmly and naturally, where she didn't put a lot of emphasis on any pressure points, and she was just very creative, you know? She, like, put the peg in her mouth and, like, readjusted everything. Like, she's just very, very good at dealing with new situations.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's what really separates them is something's going to go wrong at some point, and the better ninjas always adapt to it. We've made the reference before to Kevin Bull on Roulette Row, readjusting on the fly, where a lot of people had fallen as soon as they got twisted around on that second wheel. He just readjusted without, like, just instinctually, and she has that same kind of composure and is able to do that. So another great performance by Jessie. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the men, we had third place Jordan Kaufman, who just killed it through the course. Man, this guy was flying through. All three of the men were just killing it through the course. And Jordan ended up falling on the transition to the vertical limit. So just after the peg obstacle. Yeah, go ahead.
How, like, incredibly difficult, like, this course was already, like, brutal enough, but we have, first of all, like, a bunch of grip strength obstacles, like you're swinging on a rope to a cannonball, everything like that. But then you go into a pegboard, which is deceptively one of the harder obstacles in all of American Ninja Warrior. Because you have to be so precise with putting the little peg in the hole, and it's hard to describe, guys. It's one of those obstacles you absolutely have to try to just understand how difficult it is, and the pressure that it puts on all of your arm and your fingers. But you go from that into some doorknob climbers, or whatever, the twisty doorknob ones, which I've spoken about a few weeks ago of how difficult that is, to a freaking vertical limit ridge. Like, it looks so small from the video. You just look at it and you're like, oh, it's a small little transition, like, of these three things. But no, these are three incredibly difficult things back to back to back. And it is ridiculous. It's awesome, but man, that must, like, I can just imagine all the competitors there being like, you want us to what?
Yeah, I think that it was known at that point, the race is on to see who fails the vertical limit the fastest, right? Like, it's just a matter of getting there as quick as you possibly can.
Yeah, brutal, dude. But it's exciting because I always like stiffer competition. But man, they were racking up the difficulty on that one. I kind of want to see Jamie Ron try it now. You know, it's his gym and everything. Obviously, he can do it. I kind of want to see how well he'd do on this whole thing.
That should be a requirement. Maybe like the whoever's setting up the thing has to be able to do it before they can actually force everyone else to try.
I'm sure he did. He did a run through or whatever.
Oh, probably. I would love to see somebody actually go through that whole thing because it looked amazingly difficult. And minor spoiler, I guess, the fact that nobody actually did complete it. Nobody got past that vertical limit. We had Eli Bell in second place, who was dressed as Charizard, and nobody seemed to really know who he was. But he did amazingly well. He looked really solid on the course.
Yeah, we got to talk about his costume. It's amazing. He's got like the Charizard wings with like some beanie hat thing with the It's just absolutely amazing. Props to this dude. And now I'm really upset because I really want to dress like this next year, and I should have done it this year.
Now it's already taken. You got to come up with something new.
I'll think of something.
And in first place, we had Scott Morrison, who actually called us out on Facebook for not covering this one because he was the winner. We didn't even realize. So good for you, Scott. He flew through the balance obstacle. He really stepped it up to make sure that he got through everything as fast as he could. He took the speed course thing to heart. I love the trampoline jump. I wish they'd shown more people doing that. But he ended up going over the vertical limit as well.
One thing that was interesting is they were calling his run a little reckless at the beginning. And the thing is that when he was quote unquote reckless, it was on transition obstacles where you really don't, it really isn't too much of a, how do I say this? It's not too much of a detriment to be reckless. Like he's going through bars and everything like that where you're just swinging side to side. So you can kind of get a pass from being reckless. It's more of the it's the technical obstacles that you don't want to be reckless on. And I didn't really see that. So I thought it was actually smart. Just go blast through some of the easier transition obstacles as fast as you can to get that higher time. And then take your time on some of the more difficult obstacles. And it actually worked out for him.
Yeah, because he had a little bit of trouble with the hook, but he had already bought himself some time by going through the other ones faster. So, yeah, great job, Scott.
Yeah, with that said, man, that vertical limit, every person, like, I don't think they lasted more than a second on that vertical limit.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
I can't even say I would do any better. Like that. I don't know. It was just so insane. I really want to see somebody complete that though, because I don't know. Everything about the vertical limit, it's just brutal. Like in any competition I've seen, it's such a creative obstacle and such a simple obstacle actually, but just everything about it screams like pain in my opinion.
Well, it seems to be the big difference, right? So a lot of these competitions, we see people timing out on cannonballs and things, and they hang there. If they get twisted around and their swing is off, they'll hang there for 30 seconds to a minute trying to straighten themselves out, and it's just this long, painful fall. Vertical limit is like done, like immediately. Everybody that seems to fail on it, it's not a long, drawn-out process. They're done.
Yeah, you either have it or you don't. There's no middle ground in that one.
I think it's the placement after these other upper body obstacles that is really making it so brutal. Like, I think if it was, placed earlier in the course or not with so many other upper body ones before it, it probably would be doable. I'm sure that they've got the grip strength to do it. I just think it's that transition always seems to be when they go out immediately.
Well, yeah, everything's strategically placed. I mean, if you start, the course, the first stage one with the warped wall, I feel a lot more people would complete that warped wall, right? If you start stage 3 with the cliffhanger, I'm sure a lot more people would be able to do the cliffhanger because you're fresh. But there's particular obstacles where you need 100% of strength in a particular body part. And if it's fatigued a little too much, you're going to get too much of pain and, you're going to fade out too quickly. And yeah, vertical limit is an extreme of that with the because even when you talk about the ultimate cliffhanger, it's more like you're hanging from your fingers, right? Where you're not having to squeeze and use the muscles in your palm. It's more on your fingertips. And, obviously there's more to it than that. But I feel like the vertical limit deals with a whole lot more where you have to use your fingertips and have an intense squeeze to hold up your entire body with it. And it's very creative. And as you said, it's its placement that more than anything else, it just makes it absolutely brutal.
All right, so that is it for this week. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week to cover the first episode of College Ninja Warrior. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at ninjapodcast.com. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as @ninjapodcast. If you'd like to email us, it's rich@ninjapodcast.com. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Bijan151 on Twitter and Instagram. And let me know what you guys think of the interview and of the episode next week. I really want to hear it, guys.
All right. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah, let me end it and just, reconfirm, like playback.
Yes. Oh, God, please.
Lord knows we don't have the best of luck during our interviews.
No, how bad would that be? Oh.
All right, fingers crossed, man. Here we go. Oh, no.
Don't say this.
Looks like we got all 3 voices, man. We're all good.
Oh, for God. You are not funny at all.
I wish I recorded it more.
Oh.
Woo! We're all in the clear, bruh.
My face is so red right now. Oh, my God.